See these paws up here? That's coconut. Hi guys, Richard here from Forsyth Video. It's been a long time since I've just done a random project on the channel. I thought it would be fun to show you guys what I'm going to do to this guitar cab. Now, if you're like me and you do a lot of back and forth with speakers and things like that, you end up having extras that just kind of sit around and eventually somebody pokes a hole in them. So I thought before that happens, I would go ahead and try and do something with them. There's also a couple more cats here I'll introduce you guys to. You can probably hear them in the background. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So also, if you're any kind of musician, you know that the most valuable cab is the one you find off Marketplace. So what we're going to do is put a mixed selection of speakers in here, different ohm ratings, and I'll show you how we're going to make it work. And then we'll have the choice of different voices coming out of this cab, and we can just get whatever guitar tones we want, right? That's going to be fun. So I'll try to make this short and sweet. Let me show you what we're putting in there. And coconut! There's coconut. Alright, making his debut on the channel is Penguin. He was a little black and white kitty. He was just a baby. I had to bottle feed him and his sister Ember that I found outside, literally under my car with my girlfriend, and we raised them and brought them back to life. I guess they were not going to survive. But he's a new baby, and that's why my floor is so dirty, because they're constantly tearing things up. But anyway, here's the 4 speakers we have to put in this cab. Starting at the top left, everybody knows about the PV Blue Marvels. They're PV's Chinese contracted speakers when they first started moving stuff to China. Good news is the 12-inch Blue Marvels to me sound pretty good. So that's cool. That's 8 ohms. 8 ohm. This is a crate over here, which is going to be a Eminence speaker. G1 or G3, I'm not sure. Maybe it's something else. The tag is too worn off to know. All I know is that both of these are 8 ohm. Both of these down here, hey Penguin, both of these down here are 16 ohm speakers. This is a Fender something. I don't know what it is. It came in a cab I bought, and of course I swapped that speaker out. So I literally had to glue this back together. It was coming off the surround and it was bent, and I had to bend it back, and hopefully it works. I mean, it tests fine, but let's see what it sounds like. Everybody knows what a Celestion greenback is. I got this from a good buddy of mine for a good price. 16 ohm, 16 ohm. These are going together. So yeah, we're going to wire these together to make an 8 ohm load, and that will be one channel. We have 2 channels we can plug in on the back here. We're going to wire these together, these 2 8 ohms, to make a 16 ohm load. So we're going to be wiring these in parallel, wiring these in series. Why are we doing that? Well, because the bottom channel, then I'll be able to run, because it's got 3 jacks, I'll be able to run an output off the bottom channel and run another 16 ohm cab and still keep the same volume pretty much through all the speakers. So that'll be fun, but for the most part, I'll be using it as a 2x12, either an 8 ohm or 16 ohm load, running half the cab. Oh yeah, and this cab came from Brooklyn, New York, but I bought it from a guy here locally for 50 bucks on Marketplace. Through the magic of editing, let's look at the back of this cab. Yep. Yep. Magic of editing. Alright, so there we have Penguin demoing the cab over there. And as you can see, it's mainly particle board with, I think, a ply front. I'm not sure. It's got a support in the middle to help support the speakers and keep it from vibrating too much. I might put a little piece of foam on the back of that board like I would normally do. Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as it gets, really. Apparently it's a jungle gym as well. So this being a 90s or possibly early 2000s crate cab, I have no idea how to date them. If you do, tell me. But this being one of those, it came with the PCB board that I don't need at all. So what I do need to do though is desolder all these, because I don't need these traces run that way. This will not suit our plans, because we want 2 completely independent circuits and then 1 output from our 16 ohm bottom load. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and desolder these, and I want to make a point real quick about this type of jack. So if you see this type of jack, that's one of these where it's like a plastic enclosed thing. It's probably more simple than your standard jack if you just think about it. Your tip is the tip here, and this thing is the ground. So the one closest to the end is the tip. The one closest to the base is the ground. And then if you had a stereo version, then this right here would be your sleeve. But we don't, so we're just dealing with very simple in and out. So let me get these broken down off this board and start putting this together. And I'm just going to solder all the speakers in because I don't have any clips right now. Nope, I sure don't. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Ask me where my solder wick is. I don't know. So here's where we're at. This is going to be for our 8 ohm load, which is going to be our two 16 ohm speakers wired in parallel. So those are going to be coming off here. These are going to be for our 16 ohm load. Those wires are going to come off here, but then this will be a secondary output for another cab. So I'll be able to run basically 2 whole cabs at 16 ohm if I want to each. Yeah, it'll make sense later, but basically one side of the amp will be able to run this as an 8 ohm load. The other side will be able to run this plus another cab as an 8 ohm load if the other cab is 16 parallel. But I'm going to wire these speakers in series to produce that 16 ohm load. It'll make sense later, but anyway, that's what we got. I cut that one a little long, but it's fine. This helps keep it off the back plate anyway. But yeah, real solid. These jacks are going to work out fine. So if you're wondering what speaker cable I'm using, this is twisted 14 gauge car audio cable with silicone sleeving. The reason I did that is because why not use higher quality stuff in our audio gear, guys? 14 gauge, and then the silicone helps keep the plastic from melting into your wires. It doesn't melt, which is just absolutely great. Here's a final look at our plate before I put everything together. You can see that we have our 16 ohm side and we have our 8 ohm side, so we're good to go. Okay, so down here, 16 ohm, 16 ohm, we have our negative going to our negative, we have our positive going to our positive. That's going to turn this into one unit that the amp sees as an 8 ohm load. Up here we have two 8 ohm speakers. So we have the negative from this speaker going into the positive of this one. The negative out is going to go to our jack. The positive of this one's going to go to our jack, so that the amp will see this top section as a 16 ohm load. And then this will be what we can run another cab off should we want to. And hey, Ember popped up. What's up, little pretty girl? How you doing it? Hey. She's our other little rescue kitty. Alright, before we close her up, one more quick review. This is going to be our 16 ohm side. So we have it running all the way up here. The positive goes to the positive of this speaker. The negative out from there goes to the negative, or to the positive side of this speaker. The negative out from there comes all the way back down to our jack, and this jack splits off to another jack so that we can output another cab. This is going to be our 8 ohm load here. So you see it's only got 2 leads. Those 2 leads go into our Celestion, positive to positive, negative to negative. Output from the Celestion, positive to positive, over here to our Fender, negative to negative to our Fender. So that's going to make our 8 ohm load. Two 16 ohm speakers, 8 ohm load, 2 8 ohm speakers, 16 ohm load. I know it might sound a little confusing, but trust me, that's just how it all works, and it's going to make sense. Now let's get this buttoned up and see what she sounds like. I'm excited. Alright guys, here we have our finished cab. Right now I'm running into the 8 ohm load, which is our bottom. This is going to be our greenback. Actually, this is going to be our Fender. This is going to be our greenback. And it's very, very chimey, even though these strings are kind of dead. You can actually get really nice clean sounds out of it. We all want to know if it gents. And it definitely gets gainy. I don't have anything that sounds like that right now. Most of my cabs are V30s or other interesting modern metal speakers. So let me hook it up to the other side. This has switchable ohm loads. That's why I'm using this amp. So I'll switch this to 16 and I'll put it in the 16 ohm, which is going to be our top two speakers. Alright, now we're hooked up to our 16 ohm load, which is our top two. And just want to say that I verified my loads before I plugged anything into an amp. This is a solid state amp, so it's not that big of a deal. But especially for a tube amp, you want to make sure you verify your ohm rating with an ohm meter or something similar. That way you don't hurt your amp, right? So here's these top two speakers, our Crate and our PV Blue Marvel. So yeah, again, very chimey. I'm sure that this is part of this cab. There's not a whole lot of low end to it. There's not a lot of wood to resonate. It's kind of on the smaller side. All right. Cool, not the best distortion I ever heard, but I'm sure if I were to run my JSX through this or something like that, it would be working perfectly. But I have one more thing to show you before we go. I have now connected a 1980s Crate GC 120T, I believe is what it's called. And it is a 150 watt 212 that has two Celestion GT or G70Ts. I don't remember, something like that. Anyway, these come standard as 4 ohm. But what I did is I rewired this previously to 16 ohm. So I instead of it being wired in parallel to 8 ohm speakers, just like these guys, I have it wired in series now. So these two and these two, I'll run off one side of the amp, and those two I'll run off the other side of the amps. What it all boils down to is 2 8 ohm loads, and this amp is 4 ohm stable, so I have it switched for that now. So anyway, now we have a stack with all of our speakers we wired in plus 2 more. Pretty cool. It's loud and I barely have this amp on at all. a little fizzy. This is not my favorite solid state amp, but I'm having a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be really fun to move a mic to these different speakers and hear what it sounds like. And that's probably what we'll do in another video. I just wanted to be able to put something out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll probably have a video about a lot of life updates soon. I know it's been a while. Thanks for watching, checking this out, and you can do weird stuff at home too. Have a good time, guys. I'll see you next time.